Echoes in the void. Commander Kai Sato stared through the viewport of his reconnaissance vessel at the ghostly planet below. The swirling violet storms of Nix 7 twisted across its surface like restless spirits searching for escape. Commander, the ship's AI assistant Area chimed. We're approaching the quarantine boundary, entering restricted space in 3 minutes. Kai tightened the straps of his flight harness. Record entry log, he said. Reconnaissance mission, N7-309 beginning approach, to investigate anomalous energy signatures from Nix 7. A planet believed uninhabited for 3 centuries. He guided the ship downward through the planet's turbulent atmosphere. Lightning crackled around the hull, creating a web of electric blue against the darkening sky. His mission was simple: identify the source of strange transmissions that had been breaching Alliance communications for months. No one had set foot on this world since the Nixian extinction wars. Yet something was calling out. From its surface, the ship jolted violently as they broke through the cloud barrier. Warning. Area announced, atmospheric interference exceeding safe parameters. Recommend immediate return to orbit. Override, Kai commanded. His superior, Dr. Sarah Chen, had been explicit. This mission is priority Alpha, Kai. She had said, her eyes never leaving her display. The High Council needs answers. The signals contain fragments of Nixian code, a dead language from a dead world. The vessel plunged deeper, through roiling clouds. The sensor array flashed warning after warning as the interference intensified. Kai had survived 3 wars and countless recon missions, but something about this place sent cold fingers crawling up his spine. Signal source located. Area reported 2 kilometers ahead, bearing 047. The landscape below emerged from the haze, a vast, crystalline forest of structures that shouldn't exist. Towers of iridescent material stretched skyward, their surfaces reflecting the storm, light in hypnotic patterns. At their center stood a domed structure like a perfect half-sphere embedded in the planet's surface. That's impossible, Kai whispered. All Nixian structures were destroyed during the purge. As if responding to his disbelief, the ship's systems suddenly failed. Displays flickered and died as the engines cut out. The silence was immediate and absolute. Aurea status report. Kai called. No response. The ship dropped like a stone caught in free fall toward the crystalline forest. Kai fought the manual controls, his muscles straining against the dead systems. Come on, he growled through gritted teeth. The ground rushed toward him as he managed to level the craft slightly before impact. The crash tore through the silence of Nix 7. Metal screamed against crystal as the ship carved a deep furrow through the alien landscape, before coming to rest against one of the towering structures. Kai's head slammed against the console, and darkness claimed him. When consciousness returned, it came with pain, a dull throbbing behind his eyes and a sharp stabbing in his right side, probably broken ribs. The cabin was dark, save for the faint violet glow filtering through the cracked viewport. He fumbled for his emergency kit. Finding the medical scanner, he passed it over his torso. The readout confirmed 3 cracked ribs, a mild concussion, and a laceration across his forehead. Area. He called again. The silence remained unbroken. The atmosphere inside the cabin felt different somehow. Thicker electric watched. He reached for his sidearm, finding comfort in its familiar weight as he unholstered it. A sound like wind chimes drifted through the damaged hull. Something was outside the ship, and whatever it was getting closer. Alliance. Protocol requires identification. He called out, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at his core. Show yourself. The broken hatch leading outside slowly opened without a touch. Framed in the doorway stood a figure that couldn't possibly exist, tall, slender, with skin that seemed to shimmer with an inner violet luminescence. Her eyes were entirely silver without pupil or iris. Long dark hair adorned with small crystals cascaded down her shoulders. You shouldn't have come here, human. She said, her voice like distant music. No one should. The last sentinel, Kai raised his weapon with steady hands, despite the pain shooting through his ribs. Who are you? He demanded, studying the violet-skinned figure who stood motionless in the broken doorway. My name is Aya, she replied, her silver eyes reflecting the strange light of the crystalline structures outside. I am what remains of Nick 7. Her voice carried a melodic quality like words spoken through wind chimes. She stepped into the damaged ship, her movements fluid and graceful. Kai noticed she wore a garment that seemed woven from the same iridescent material as the towers outside, shifting colors with every movement. The Nixians were exterminated 3 centuries ago, Kai said, keeping his weapon trained on her. Alliance historical records confirmed total extinction. A sad smile touched Aya's lips. Your Alliance records are incomplete, Commander Sato, she said, his name flowing from her lips though he'd never introduced himself. I survived because I was never truly Nixian, but something else entirely. Before Kai could process her words, she moved toward him with impossible speed, her hand reaching toward his injured side. He attempted to back away, but found himself unable to move as if held by invisible restraints. I won't harm you, she whispered, placing her palm against his ribs. A warm sensation spread through his body, and the pain that had been stabbing through him moments before began to fade, though others of my kind might have. When she withdrew her hand, Kai ran the medical scanner over his torso again. The cracked ribs had been completely healed. How did you, he began.
The energy that flows through this world flows through me as well, she explained, stepping back to give him space.
Your people called it corruption, but it was simply different from your understanding. Kai lowered his weapon slowly, curiosity overtaking caution. Why are you still here? On a dead world? Aya turned toward the viewport, gazing at the crystalline landscape. I am the last sentinel, she said, bound to this place by duty and by design. Her silver eyes seemed to look beyond the horizon to something he couldn't see. Come, Commander. Your ship cannot be repaired without proper tools. You will need shelter before nightfall. Against his better judgment and every protocol in the Alliance handbook, Kai followed her from the wreckage. The air outside smelled of ozone and something sweeter, like distant flowers. The crystalline forest towered above them, structures that seemed grown rather than built, pulsing with inner light. These structures, Kai said, reaching out to touch one. They're alive. Everything on Nick 7 lives, Aya responded, even what appears still and silent. She led him toward the central dome he'd observed before the crash, a massive half-sphere embedded into the landscape. This was once the heart of our greatest city. Now it is my sanctuary. The entrance to the dome opened at her approach, revealing a space that defied the laws of physics. The interior was vastly larger than the exterior suggested, with soaring ceilings and chambers branching in impossible directions. The walls themselves seemed to breathe, pulsing with the same violet energy that emanated from Aya's skin. The purge, Kai said quietly, recalling his historical training. They said the Nixians were developing weapons of mass destruction, biological agents that could rewrite human DNA. Aya turned to him, her face showing neither anger nor surprise, only a profound sadness. Is that what they told you? She asked. That we were monsters creating monsters. She gestured to a wall that suddenly shifted, displaying images like a living screen. We were healers, Commander. We could reshape matter at its fundamental level. The wall showed Nixians working alongside humans, healing terrible wounds, growing new limbs for the injured, purifying poisoned worlds. Then why, he began. Fear, she interrupted. Fear of what we could become. Fear that we might one day turn our gifts against the Alliance. Her silver eyes met his, and when fear takes root, violence follows. Kai watched as the images shifted to show Alliance warships descending on Nix 7, unleashing devastation that tore apart the crystalline cities. Nixians falling, their violet skin turning ash-gray as they died. I survived because I was hidden, Aya continued. I was different, an experiment in creating a perfect bridge between our peoples. Her voice dropped to a whisper, half Nixian, half human. The revelation struck Kai like a physical blow. That's impossible. Nothing is impossible, Commander, she replied. Only improbable. She gestured to a chamber off the main hall. You may rest here. When the storms pass, we will discuss how to return you to your people. As she turned to leave, Kai called after her. The signals. You've been sending transmissions to Alliance space. Aya paused in the doorway, her luminescent skin dimming slightly. Not signals, Commander, she said. Warnings. Warnings of what? He asked. Her silver eyes seemed to look through him, beyond him, to some distant point in space and time. "Of what sleeps beneath the surface of this world," she replied, "and what your people's return might awaken." With those cryptic words, she left him alone in the chamber, the living walls pulsing around him like a heartbeat. Kai sat on what appeared to be a bed formed from the same material as the walls, his mind racing with questions and doubts. He activated his personal recorder, speaking quietly. "Mission log, day 1 on Nix 7. I've encountered a survivor. She calls herself Aya. If what she says is true, everything we know about the Nixian extinction is a lie." He paused, looking at the doorway where she had disappeared, "and we may have made a terrible mistake." Outside, the violet storms of Nix 7 intensified, lightning illuminating the crystalline forest in flashes of electric blue, as if the planet itself was responding to his presence. Beyond starlight, morning on Nix 7 brought no sunrise, only a gradual lightening of the perpetual violet haze that enshrouded the planet. Kai woke to find a small crystal hovering beside his bed, emitting a soft glow that pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. A sentinel crystal. Aya's voice came from the doorway where she stood, her violet skin slightly brighter in the morning light. "It attunes itself to your life force." Kai sat up, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "Do you always watch people while they sleep?" he asked, attempting humor to mask his discomfort. A small smile touched her lips. "I don't require sleep as you do," she replied, "and your presence here is unusual. I've been alone for a very long time." "Commander." The weight of those words hung between them. 3 centuries of solitude. Kai couldn't imagine such isolation. "You mentioned warnings yesterday," he said, rising to his feet. "Warnings about something beneath the surface. What did you mean?" Aya gestured for him to follow. "It's easier to show you." She led him deeper into the dome, through corridors that seemed to shift and rearrange themselves with each step. The living architecture responded to her presence, opening passages and closing others behind them. Finally, they entered a vast chamber dominated by what appeared to be a pool of liquid crystal. "This is the heart of Nix," Aya explained, kneeling beside the pool. "The source of all life on this world." She placed her palm on the surface, causing ripples of light to spread outward. "When your people attacked, they didn't realize what they were truly destroying." The pool's surface changed, showing images of massive crystalline roots extending deep into the planet's core. "The Nixians weren't building weapons," she continued. "They were containing one." The image shifted to show a massive entity, seemingly made of dark energy, writhing beneath the planetary crust. "Something ancient lives before our civilizations, something that feeds on consciousness itself." "What is it?" Kai asked, kneeling beside her. "We have no name for it," she replied. "Only its hunger. The crystalline network was designed to keep it dormant, feeding it just enough energy to prevent it from waking." Her silver eyes met his. "When the Alliance destroyed most of the Nixians, the network began to fail. I've maintained it alone, but my strength wanes each year. Its prison grows weaker." Kai's mind raced with the implications. "The signals were attempts to warn your people," she finished, "to prevent them from returning and further damaging the network." She waved her hand over the pool, and the images faded. "But it seems I only succeeded in bringing you here." "I can help," Kai said without hesitation. "I can report back." "Explain what's happening." Aya's expression darkened. "And you believe they would listen? When it's easier to remember us as monsters?" Before he could answer, a tremor shook the chamber. Crystal dust rained from the ceiling. "It senses you," she said urgently. "Your presence, your consciousness. It's been so long since it had new minds to touch." She gripped his arm. "We must strengthen the closest nodes in the network. Come." They hurried from the chamber, the tremors increasing as they moved through twisting passages. They emerged outside, into a section of the crystalline forest where several towers had fallen. Broken crystals lay scattered across the ground, their light dimming. "Each tower is a node in the containment network," Aya explained. Kneeling beside a fallen crystal, they channel energy from the planet's core to maintain the prison. "How can I help?" Kai asked. "Your presence disrupts the balance, but your energy can also restore it." She took his hand in hers, her violet fingers intertwining with his. I need your help to rebuild this node. Kai felt a strange sensation as their skin touched. Like electricity flowing between them. What do I do? Focus, she whispered. Feel the energy around you. Let it flow through you. As it flows through me, Kai closed his eyes, feeling foolish at first, but then he sensed it. A current of energy surrounding them, pulsing through the ground, the air, through Aya herself. He concentrated on that feeling, letting it guide him. Warmth spread from their joined hands as Aya began to sing in a language he didn't understand yet somehow comprehended. A song of growth, of healing, of protection. The broken crystals around them trembled, then slowly rose into the air, fragments rejoining, cracks sealing themselves. The tower began to rebuild itself before his eyes. When it was complete, Aya released his hand, looking slightly weakened by the effort. Thank you, she said softly. It's been difficult maintaining the network alone. That was incredible, Kai breathed, looking at the restored tower now pulsing with renewed energy. I've never experienced anything like it. No human has, she replied. Not since. She trailed off, her silver eyes distant with memory. Since what? Kai prompted. Aya hesitated before answering. Since my father. The admission seemed to cost her something. He was a scientist who came to study Nixian healing techniques. He fell in love with my mother, a Nixian healer. Their union created me, something new. Her voice softened. They believed I could be a bridge between our peoples, a symbol of harmony. What happened to them? Kai asked gently. They died in the first wave of the purge, she answered, pain evident in her voice. My mother used the last of her strength to hide me within the heart of Nyx, to protect me until I was strong enough to maintain the network. Impulsively, Kai reached for her hand again. I'm sorry. She looked surprised at the gesture but didn't pull away. For centuries, I believed all humans were like those who destroyed my world, she said. But feeling your energy, your intentions, you're different. Not all of us are defined by our worst actions, he said, just as you aren't defined by what others claimed about your people. They stood in silence for a moment, hands still joined, as the repaired tower hummed with energy around them. The violet haze of Nyx 7 seemed to lighten slightly. There are more nodes to repair. Aya finally said, if you're willing. Kai nodded. Show me. They spent the day moving through the crystalline forest, repairing damaged nodes. Throughout their work, Kai learned more about Nixian culture, about their symbiotic relationship with their world, about Aya's lonely vigil with each node they repaired. Their connection deepened. The energy flowing between them grew stronger, more intimate as they returned to the dome at day's end, exhausted but satisfied. Aya turned to him. Your ship, she said suddenly. I may be able to repair enough systems for you to send a message to your people. Kai was surprised to realize he'd almost forgotten about his mission. About the Alliance waiting for his report tomorrow, he said. We'll look at it tomorrow. That night, as he lay in his chamber, the sentinel crystal pulsing beside him, Kai recorded another log, day 2 on Nyx 7. I've learned the truth about this world. About the Nixians, they weren't weapons developers, they were protectors. He paused, thinking of Aya, of her strength and sacrifice. And I've met someone extraordinary, someone who spent centuries alone, protecting a universe that condemned her people. Another pause. I don't know what happens next, but I know I can't let her continue this vigil alone. Outside his chamber, unbeknownst to him, Aya stood listening, a single crystalline tear tracing a luminous path down her violet cheek. The price of trust, the 4th day on Nyx 7, dawned with an unusual clarity in the violet atmosphere. Kai and Aya stood before his damaged ship, assessing what could be salvaged. The communication array might still function, Kai said, running his hand along the scorched hull. If we can restore power to the main systems. Aya placed her palm against the ship, closing her silver eyes in concentration. Your technology is strange to me, she admitted. But I can feel the pathways of energy. I can help guide them back to their proper flow. Working together, they managed to restore partial power to the ship's systems. Though the engines remained dead, the communication array flickered to life. Who will you contact? Aya asked, her voice carrying a note of apprehension. Kai hesitated. Dr. Sarah Chen, my superior, she's a scientist, not a soldier, she might understand. Before he could activate the transmitter, a warning alarm blared from the console. Proximity alert, Kai muttered. Checking the readings. Alliance vessels, 3 of them approaching fast. Aya's expression darkened. They've detected your ship's energy signature. I haven't sent any message yet, Kai said. Confusion evident in his voice. How did they find us? The quarantine beacon, she realized, when you crashed. It must have activated automatically. Kai's mind raced through possibilities. We need to explain the truth about this world, about what's beneath it. Do you truly believe they'll listen? Aya asked, her silver eyes searching his. When it's easier to remember my people as monsters? The choice before him crystallized with painful clarity: duty to the Alliance or truth to a world misunderstood. Trust in the system he'd served his entire life, or trust in Aya and what she'd shown him. We have to try, he finally said, taking her hand in his together across the universe. The Alliance vessels descended through Nix 7's atmosphere, breaking the violet haze with their imposing silhouettes. 3 assault cruisers. Weapons systems already activated, Commander Sato. Dr. Chen's voice crackled through the communication array. Report status immediately. Kai squeezed Aya's hand once before responding. Dr. Chen, this is Commander Sato. Everything we've been told about. Nix 7 is wrong. The Nixians weren't developing weapons. They were containing something dangerous beneath the planet's surface. Silence followed his transmission. Then, you've been compromised. Commander, step away from the native and prepare for extraction. She's not just a native, Kai argued. She's the last guardian of this world. If we disrupt the crystalline network she maintains, we risk releasing something that could threaten every conscious mind in this sector. Your vitals show abnormal patterns, Dr. Chen replied coldly. Possible psychic interference. We're initiating purge protocols. The lead vessel's weapon systems powered up. Targeting the largest crystalline structures. No, Aya cried out, her violet skin pulsing with alarm. If they destroy those towers, the containment field will collapse. The first energy blast struck a distant tower, shattering it into thousands of glittering fragments. The ground beneath them trembled violently. Aya fell to her knees, hands pressed against the soil. It's waking, she whispered in horror. The prison weakens. Kai made his decision. He activated his emergency beacon, broadcasting on all Alliance channels. This is Commander Kai Sato. Abort attack immediately, I repeat. Abort attack. The crystalline structures are containing an entity of immense power. Destroying them will release it. The ships hesitated momentarily. Then Dr. Chen's voice again. Deploying ground team to secure the commander, continuing with purge protocol. As a shuttle detached from the lead vessel, Aya turned to Kai. There's only one way to stop this, she said. Her voice resigned yet determined. I must strengthen the network from its source, the heart of Nix, but the energy required. What will happen to you? Kai asked, already knowing the answer. I will become one with the network. She replied, my consciousness spreading through every crystal to reinforce the prison. There has to be another way, he insisted. A sad smile touched her lips. There isn't, but perhaps there's another guardian. She placed her hand against his chest. Someone who understands both worlds, someone who could continue what I began. The shuttle was approaching, troops visible through its viewports. Kai made his choice, show me. They raced back to the dome, to the chamber containing the heart of Nix. The liquid crystal pool was turbulent now, dark energies swirling beneath its surface. They need to see the truth, Aya said. Placing her hands into the pool, energy surged up her arms, across her violet skin. Help me show them. Kai knelt beside her. Placing his hands in the pool alongside hers, the energy flowed through him, painful yet exhilarating. Together, they channeled it outward above Nix 7. The pilots and crews of the Alliance vessels suddenly staggered as images flooded their minds. The truth of the Nixian extinction, the entity imprisoned. Beneath the surface, Aya's centuries of solitary vigilance and something more, a vision of harmony between worlds that might yet be possible. In the heart chamber, Aya turned to Kai, her form beginning to dissolve into motes of luminous energy. They see now, she whispered, but the network still needs a guardian. Take me with you, Kai said without hesitation. Not with me, she answered. touching his face one last time. But part of me will always be with you, and perhaps someday we'll find each other again across the universe. Her physical form dissolved completely, the violet energy spreading throughout the crystalline network. But as it did, something transferred to Kai, a spark of her consciousness, a gift, a transformation. When the Alliance troops burst into the chamber, they found Commander Kai Sato standing before the pool, his skin now faintly luminescent, his eyes carrying a silver sheen. "Commander?" Dr. Chen approached cautiously. "Having landed with the ground team, what's happened to you?" "I've become what she needed," Kai answered, his voice carrying a faint musical quality, a bridge between worlds, a new guardian. He gestured to the pool, which now showed images of the entity, securely contained once more. "The danger is contained for now. But this world needs protection, not destruction." 1 month later, the Alliance established a research outpost on Nix 7 under Kai's guidance. Scientists began studying the crystalline network, learning its secrets, understanding its purpose. At night, when the violet haze of Nix 7 was at its deepest, Kai would stand among the crystal towers, his transformed body resonating with their energy. And sometimes in the harmonics of the crystals, he could hear her voice, "Not alone anymore." It seemed to say, "Never alone again." And across the universe, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter.